A2. And A2, I'm going to provide you with Mad Libs. Anybody remember Mad Libs from when you were a kid? You go to the Scholastic Book Fair at school and you buy one of those books. And if you're unfamiliar with Mad Libs, it is a way of teaching kids the parts of speech, nouns, verbs, adjectives, and things like that, by giving them a fun little story that has blanks in it. And for each of the blanks, it might say, like, put an adjective here, or put a food there, or like a noun or a verb or whatever. And you you ask somebody to give you those words, and they give you the words and you write them in, and then you read the story, and it's like silly and fun and whatever, but it helps kids remember the difference between a noun and a verb and an adjective and when they're supposed to be used appropriately. So that's what Mad Libs is. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use Mad Libs as a way of practicing using an F string or string format. I won't limit you in that way, to insert words into a string. So I'm going to give you a template file that has this story on it. This is kind of interesting. The backstory on this is this was provided to an early version of an AI chatbot to see if it could correctly identify words that would be put into those spaces when they were much less advanced than they are now. Obviously, a chatbot today could far surpass this. It's an easy activity for a chatbot today, or any kind of AI agent. But 10, 15 years ago, that wasn't the case. This was actually somewhat impressive. So I kept that text. It's got blanks in it, and I'm going to provide you with a Canvas template file. So if you go into Canvas, bless you, everybody's so sneezy today. So if you go into Canvas and you go to under Resources, Module 2 Files, you will see a A2 template. I'm providing you this, but you don't have to use this. If you want to make up your own Mad Libs, all I ask is that you include 4 or 5 blanks in the Mad Libs file. Well, that is taking a bit. There it is. So I'm going to download that. And let's open that up. And here you have a very long string. Now, a string like this, if I just print this out, if I just print that out, what you'll notice is that it prints out all of the placeholders with the curly braces and everything, and it prints it out on multiple lines. You might have also noticed that at the beginning and end of this string, you've got triple quotes. The reason that we have triple quotes is because triple quotes allow you to have a string that goes over multiple lines. So it allows you to have a string where you have an enter at the end of it, essentially. So this string can start up here at this line and end all the way down here, as long as we have triple quotes. Now I can make this an F string, just like any other string, by adding an F in front of it. Notice. So we're highlighting all of the things here. So your assignment is going to be to do something along the lines of this. Now, I'm not going to show you the actual solution. That's too easy. I don't want to spoon feed you like that. I don't want to insult your intelligence by giving you the answer. Okay. So I'm going to create a different Mad Libs. str text equals, and I'll make an F string. My name is str name, and I am int age years old. Okay, so here's my Mad Libs. Now, obviously, if you create your own Mad Libs, like I said, I want 4 or 5 blanks, not just 2. But I'm giving you a very simple example of how this program should work. So you've got your F string here. You need to get those values, all of the values for your Mad Libs from the user. So what that means is you're going to have an input statement, an input function for each of these. So I'm going to say str name equals input tell me your name. Okay, and I'm going to put the colon there and a space, user friendliness. And guess what? Because what does input return? What does the input function return? It returns a certain data type. Does it return an integer? It returns a string, right? No matter what the user types, even if they type numbers, it returns a string of numbers. Always something good to remember. So because it returns a string, guess what I can do? I can do method chaining right on that input function. So input function returns a string. I can strip it right there. And then it gets put in here with no spaces on the front and end of it. That's a really clean way to do things with your input, is just strip it right off the bat. Now, int age is a little bit different, right? Int age is not a string. So how do I get something from a user that's not a string? Because input always gives me a string. I can't. Input, what is your age? And I can strip that too because it's a string. Okay, so they're going to input an age. Now they might input 10, T-E-N, as their age. They might input digits as their age. So it's a little bit tricky. Now the safe thing would be to do str age here and just leave it. There's no reason for this program, as it is right now, for me to turn that into a number, because I'm not going to add to it. I'm not doing any math. All I'm doing is taking that whatever they type, popping it into the string. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to leave it a string instead of being an integer. Later on, we might want to do something with stuff that people input. And in that case, we're actually going to need to convert it to an integer. Not yet. So right now, we'll leave it a string, and we'll put them in there. So this is what your Mad Libs assignment will look like. But my version is much simpler. You should have, like I said, at least 4 or 5 input statements that are putting that into variables and then substituting those into either this or text of your choosing. Okay, so this one has 7 or 8. Gives you a lot of practice, right? But in this case, I'm just doing 2 because I want to simplify this so you can see what I'm doing. So for each one of these, I'm getting an input, putting it into the variable that matches this. And so what happens when I run this? Tell me your name, Bill. I can type it like that, or I can type a number. It doesn't matter. It's just going to be a string. Okay, so nothing happened. That's kind of dumb, right? What did I forget? I forgot to print. So now the last thing I need to do is print. I did that on purpose because a lot of you are going to forget to print also. Maybe now you won't. Boom. I can do 50. Okay, so there you go. That's the whole assignment. Okay, now, like I said, don't be turning this in. No. I need more than that. But that is how you do it.